In an August interview, Senator, you said, quote, abortion is the killing of an unborn human being, and that you do not believe the dignity and the worth of human life is tied to the circumstances of their conception. You've now signed on to fellow Senator Lindsey Graham's bill for a national abortion ban. My question to you specifically is, if reelected, if your vote can make a federal abortion ban
the moderator does seem disoriented,
the law of the land, will you vote yes?
Number one, I'm 100% pro-life, because not because I want to deny anyone their rights, but because I believe that innocent human life is worthy of the protection of our laws. That said, every bill I've ever sponsored on abortion, every bill I've ever voted for, has exceptions. Every one of them does, because that's what can pass, and that's what the majority of people support. Now, what was before us today in Congress that you talk about Lindsey Graham's bill, that's a 4-month ban. Okay? That is more lenient than every country in Europe, except for 2. The extremist on abortion in this campaign is Congresswoman Demings. She supports no restrictions, no limitations of any kind. She voted against she's against a 4-month ban. She voted against a 5-month ban. She supports taxpayer-funded abortion on demand for any reason at any time up until the moment of birth. That's what she supports. That's the extreme position here. I have shown a willingness to work with people to save unborn innocent human life. She opposes any limitation of any kind, and no one ever asks them about that.
Congresswoman Demings.
Senator, how gullible do you really think Florida voters are? Number one, you have been clear that you support no exceptions, even including rape and incest. Now, as a police detective who investigated cases of rape and incest, no, Senator, I don't think it's okay for a 10-year-old girl to be raped and have to carry the seed of her rapist. No, I don't think it's okay for you to make decisions for women and girls.
Whoa.
As a senator, I think those decisions are made between the woman, her family, her doctor, and her faith. And to stand over there and say that I don't support abortions up to the time of birth is just a lie. But to help protect the life of the mother, which you looked at that like it was just, that's kind of a side issue.
The throwaway.
Senator, you know that you have said you don't support any exceptions. But what you're saying tonight...
Yeah, number one, the bill that she's attacking me on has exceptions. It has exceptions. That's the bill right now. Number two, you want to talk about extreme? Let me tell you about extreme, because you talk about extreme. Here's extreme. Okay, a child that's born alive after a failed abortion. It happened 11 times in Florida in 2017. It happened 8 times in 2020. A child on a failed abortion born alive. And we had doctors in America that refused to treat or provide medical care to a child born alive. And we tried to pass a law that said that should be a crime. That's infanticide. The abortion failed. The child was born alive and you refused to treat it. And she voted against that. That's how extreme she is. And she still will not tell you. You should ask her, what limits on abortion will you support?
Congresswoman?
What we know is that the senator supports no exceptions. He can make his mouth say anything today. He's good at that, by the way. What day is it, and what is Marco Rubio saying? I've said time and time again, and he knows it, that I support a woman's right to choose up to the time of viability.
Senator, before we go, I want to get back to the original question, because I understand...
The time of viability, I mean, that's pretty clear.
You have supported legislation that has exceptions, and that this particular bill that Lindsey Graham has drafted, you signed on to, does have that up to 4 months. But I asked you a specific question, that is...
This is a real debate.
...a chance in another 6-year term to vote for a federal abortion ban with no exceptions. Would you vote yes if it would make it the law?
No, listen, I've already told people what I don't believe that the value of a human life is determined by the circumstances.
Right, I gave
but the law that can pass in this country, I'm interested in saving human lives. And that's why every law that's out there has exceptions, including the one that she's attacking me on has exceptions. Every law I've ever passed has exceptions. We're never going to get a vote on a law that doesn't have exceptions, because that's what the majority of the American people are. And I respect and understand that. And that's what I support. But she still, you haven't asked her, no one here's asked her, she still won't answer what specific limits.
She just said the limit is the time of viability.
Not after 5 months. And by the way, on the issue of exceptions, I'm being attacked on a bill that has exceptions. It's written right in there. My name is on that bill. My name is on that bill. There's a reason why no bills are ever
You're not
introduced
answering
without
the
exception.
Viability is what, between 21 and 24 weeks?
Passed without that in there, and I understand and recognize it, and that's why I have continued to support bills that have exceptions. But she supports no limits of
She
any
just
kind.
said the limit.
That is out of the mainstream. That is radical. She supports letting a doctor let an unborn baby, a born baby born alive, and the doctor doesn't have to treat it.
That's time. Another minute to you, Congresswoman Demings.
She explicitly said it.
Rubio has been clear that he supports no exceptions, even in the cases of rape and incest. He said it time and time and time again. But what I can say to him, and I can say to Florida, we are not going back, Senator, no matter how obsessed you are with a woman's body and her right to choose. We are not going back to a time where women are treated like second-class citizens or like property. And I'll say it again because obviously he didn't hear or he doesn't want to. I support a woman's right to an abortion up to the time of viability.
So, will she? Can you ask her if she'll
What?
support a 24-week ban? Will you support a 24-week ban? Because you didn't support a 20-week ban. You didn't support...
Up to the time of viability.
But when is that? That's the vague language they all give. And then they talk about the doctor and the family. Let me tell you who else is in that room, that abortion room. The government is in that room because she brought them in there. She wants the taxpayer to pay for that abortion. That's government involvement. Not just to pay for that abortion, but to pay for them all over the world.
For a woman and our girls.
That's a radical...
I believe at this point we're going to move on.
My watch.
I'm going to ask that you both allow me to move on with this debate.
Rubio is failing and flailing here.